Going live now. Okay. Going live now. Alrighty, okay, looks like we're good. Well, maybe. Just gonna wait a second for everything to catch up. Alrighty. Just looking at some stuff. Click on Paradox. Okay, cool. Cool. See the chat there. Let me see if there's anything else, and then we can get the show on the road. Messages there. All right, just wanted the chats open in both sections. Okay, great. Let's jump into it. What's going on, everyone? I am Scissor. It's a pleasure. So we'll see how Monday has been going. We had quite a volatile weekend for Bitcoin. But then again, what's volatility nowadays for Bitcoin? Yeah, I mean, same old for me here. Just another day. I mean, seeing something like Bitcoin sell off over the weekend, I'm sure that, you know, whatever. There was a bunch of liquidations, so we'll just see how that goes. And then, I mean, on the larger time frame, I'm still a guy. I just rather follow the charts than try and guess with the news. The news and the markets are like the most efficient in the world, or I should say the markets are the most efficient in the world. So I try not to follow too much news. I try not to trade on it because by the time I trade on it, I'm too late. So, but there's also a really good saying. It says, when in doubt, zoom out. So, you know, I mean, it's just been up. It's just been up. So yeah, not much is really any different there. I had some requests, so I will pull up a tweet at some point and we will go through some of these charts. Kind of been amongst the same sort of whatever, AI bottleneck, compute, storage, something, semiconductor, etc. Right? So I mean, I've got most of them in here, but yeah, we'll take a look at it at some point and kind of see how things go. GEV, maybe I've brought this one up. Very bullish. Very bullish on this one long run. It's just been up. So, I mean, I'm not really about discussing when to buy, what to sell, when to sell, right? You know, I'll probably hit some ones and I'll look like a genius and I'll be, you know, accurate. And then there'll be a couple other times I'm not. So yeah, this is really not my thing, is to not try and really do that so much. Take a look at Bitcoin. I mean, yeah. Nothing bad, nothing crazy. I'm going to turn on my very colorful, noisy indicator. Last week, I showed you guys how I kind of do some of the logging and how I keep track of a lot of the data. This, again, this is a great indicator if you like to follow a system of colors more than anything else. So yes, if you would like this, it is free. There is a different company that has a paid version of this. Feel free to go find them and pay for it. But this, all you got to do is message me and follow me on X, and I'll give you access. So the system's quite simple, though, for the most part, and everything's modifiable, which is the great thing. So we'll change the colors just so it's a bit more balanced. So it's basically higher time frames. We've got a little bit of they're moving averages. There's some customizable features in here, but it's really trying to identify a trend. And a trend is typically, you'll start to see the track line, the mag flow line, you'll start to see it, turn green. It might flicker some colors, but typically when there's a crossover and it starts to change some colors, that's good. Vice versa, when there's another cross below and it starts to, turn red, that can be a warning signal. Obviously you got to zoom out still, right? Looks like the start, this could be an area that we bounce up. We'll see. Really, really hard to tell right now. Something choppy like this can have a quick cross and just rip back up. So no worries for me. Crypto's still doing its thing. The stock market looks very strong still. Like, we need red days. It's kind of balanced. You just need some red days, right? You got to clean up everything. Plenty of leverage, whatever else is going on, the futures market, the options. The options is the focus today. We're going to get deep into that. We're just going to cover some of this briefly. I mean, yeah, when you zoom out and you just look at the daily, it's really not looking too bad. It's really not looking too bad. Just up and down, up and down. So, okay, let's take a look at this tweet here real quick. So let me just change something on my screen. All righty. By request, let's go over. I mean, this guy was ahead. He saw things before many people saw. So I'm sure you guys have seen a bunch of clips with him. Yeah. Super famous, young. I don't even know what his fund is worth, like 25 billion, 30 billion. I don't know, right? Made a lot of money. Was very early to a lot of these names. Let's actually take a look at this, if it's even clear. Not really. Not really. But, so I think last week I showed you guys a trade. I did very, very well with NVIDIA. I closed early still. That's just part of the game. It happens. I'm just checking something on my mic. Okay. Yeah, but I won't complain. I won't complain. I will take this. So, Oracle, I'm actually very, very bullish on also. Not enough people talk about Oracle. I mean, they've been in the news a bit. You'll see them kind of paired with, there was some sort of headline with Bloom Energy. Bloom Energy has just had a stellar year as well. Again, all of these AI bottlenecks, photonics, everything, memory storage, whatever, you name it, right? Cooling circuitry, grid modernization. But the reason why Oracle was on it, and I actually really zoomed out, this was a couple weeks ago. Me and another colleague, we were doing some Saturday research and stuff on options. And but even just structurally at the time, it was literally this. Let me hide this, sorry. I can zoom in a bit. It never really helps too much on TradingView. Yeah, I mean, it was, right around April. I think it was probably April 11th. And I was like, this weekly just looks amazing. I was like, this is down deep, weekly point of controls. So if you remember last week, I'm a big fan of the fixed range volume profile. Yeah, it was just one of these. I know it looks even more noisy, but basically this point of control, this very high volume node. And again, we're looking at the weekly now. I'm not looking at the daily. I'm not looking at 4 hour. I'm not looking at the 1 hour or 15 minute. And that's why my indicator does a great job of just auto adjusting and automating these levels for me. So I don't really have to do too much work. And I can kind of see multiple levels, multiple anchor points. But yeah, I mean, it was a Saturday. I didn't buy. I didn't think to look somewhere to find like an Oracle perp or something, right? And obviously I couldn't really do anything with my broker over the weekend. But then coincidentally, it just popped up. And sometimes that's just how it happens. But I am very, very bullish on Oracle. So yes, I think the way they have positioned themselves and the way the CEO has gone about the business and kind of focusing more on the infrastructure side, being a provider for the industry rather than just trying to start out. I mean, yeah, we got MU. This one's just been killing it. I think I did a tweet the other day or a little response. Somebody was trying to compare like Micron and CoreWeave, but CoreWeave has a massive amount of debt. And so like this is where you got to jump in sometimes to the financials and really consider like the actual business model, or what's the expected growth? What is like their, you know, people like to look at their price to earnings and a bunch of other things. You know, there's a backlog. Most of these companies have a backlog of future expected earnings, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, Micron's just killed it. CoreWeave also quite impressive. It's just that their financials, they have a ton of debt, a ton of debt. Newer company. If you read over their like model, you'd be like, wow, this is like very incredible, you know. So like what they're also providing to the industry. So it's just a much choppier stock, you know, higher risk, higher reward. But yeah, I'd say the financing side is going to be a little difficult for them. But basically, I think also I had brought up this tweet, right? This is last week's stream. There's DRAM and EUV, and you can kind of just, I don't know if this is going to list the ETF basket. No. But these are both great ETFs. So if you want exposure to basically these bottlenecks, like just jump right in and snag yourself one of these. And, you know, here, I can do a breakdown in a second. I'm not going to do it at the moment, but yeah, I think like anything else, you just like DCA into some of these things, or, you know, always do your research and pick. But I mean, even Micron, I think, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I think it's still a buy. I think it's still a buy. Some people like to track AMD. I'm not a big fan of tracking that one. It's on my list. It's just not one I want to trade. I mean, obviously Intel has been like legendary from last year as well. I'm not sure what else is in this ETF, but you know, it's a semi ETF, so I'm assuming there's a big basket of that. But sometimes it's easier just to go with an ETF, not for the sake of leverage, right? Because I know there's like 2x or 3x ETFs, but sometimes you just get exposure to a basket. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my recommendation there. Like what else we got? Let's see what else is on my list. This is kind of my, all right, so VCX. Also, this is kind of like a pre-IPO AI LLM. They're like a venture fund, but they've got a good amount of exposure to some of these companies that they've done through private investments. I want to say they're about 4 years old. Their stock just went live, but we'll open this up. You're not going to tell us here. Oh, it's maybe right here. Okay, yeah, 2022. So yeah, concentrated in Anthropic, OpenAI. They've got a few other things in there as well. So yeah, you can see that right here. SpaceX, XAI, like, so it's just, it's a unique stock, very, very volatile, very risky in some sense, but some people are looking for that pre-IPO exposure. So that's kind of a little nugget. But again, sometimes it's just better to bet on a basket of stocks, you know, a basket of equities. So yeah, keep an eye on this guy. I mean, obviously he's a legend. That's the most I can say. I'm just gonna look at this. This is my kind of my ranking system. I'm not a big fan of dashboards, to be honest. But and this isn't a dashboard. This is just more like a data endpoint aggregator that I've built. But it just can be quite helpful. I tend to, you know, we'll look at some of these. Like there's not as many. There's more small caps on here, things that are a bit more volatile. I could add anything I want, but it's just cool to look at for news. And again, if you have questions about this, somebody can feel free to reach out to me about this. But it's a great system for kind of always providing a counter thesis and looking at some drivers, other financials, recent news, recent filings. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. We're going to jump over to really what I wanted to jump over to, which is options. We haven't talked enough about options. What's going on here? Slowing down for me? So yeah, I mean, I think all the secret sauce right now, one of the best things about Paradex are their options. And if you've been keeping up with Paradex and Paradigm has just been making a killing. Well, there we go. They've been just making a killing. Oh, we were going to check the ETF. So, all right. I'll show you some of that code because I've been looking at it. So yeah. So, I mean, what do we got? Expiration for today. So, I mean, it's been a volatile day. It's been a volatile weekend. So if you've jumped on and you've been looking at some of these things, like there's been, like a ton of movement here. And then obviously Paradigm, they just absolutely kill it. And they do a ton of settlements over here. So they really provide a great service to the industry. Over on Deribit, looking at that, same day. Oh, that's tomorrow, actually, not same day. Sorry. So I'm sure, how are we looking? Index open. How's Gamma? Delta's up there. So this is where I like to pull something up like this. Oh, we'll get into these stocks. Let's take a peek. Yeah, so the DRAM, it's just, I mean, it's got a great mix. Yeah, Micron, Samsung. I don't know, a couple other ones. Western Digital, but yeah, great basket if you're really trying to focus a little bit more on the memory side. And then EUV, it's a very great one. Yeah, I just think this whole mix, Coherent, Lumentum, Corning, there's ASML, there's TSMC. So yeah, rather than like dive into all of these like stocks, I'm like, why don't you just, by now with where we are in this sort of, I mean, whatever, call it a bull cycle, right? It's been a very powerful stock market, AI, bottleneck bull cycle. So keep those in mind. Keep those in mind. Those ETFs might do you some great. So here, we'll take a look. This is Deribit. We're going to connect to Deribit mainnet. It's great to look at some of this stuff. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, right? You've got all these different strike prices. You've got different sizes. Like even where are all the Greeks? I like to look at the Greeks. Let me look at Gamma. Just want to look at Gamma right now. IVS. All right, that's fine. But yeah. So we've got a nice option strike board. And everything moves very quickly. So, options, they're great because they're not going to punish you the same way that a perp might punish you, unless you do very low leverage, right? And then it's kind of just like trading the spot asset. If you trade 1x for perps, then you're kind of fine. It's like trading the spot asset. You're going to pay a little bit on funding depending on the direction of the funding. Options, it's almost like, I call it an insurance policy. An option is the option to buy. If you buy a call option, it's the option to buy. If you buy a put option, it's the option to sell. Technically there's settlement, but that's how I was taught actually, in school. So it's just kind of a differentiating factor between like futures contracts or perpetual swaps. A futures contract is a contract, so it's a futures obligation, a perpetual obligation to basically, pay, pay or sell, buy or sell. And then an option is kind of the option to buy or sell. That's just traditionally how it goes. But let's look at this example. Recent trades. One full one is one contract, the mark price. Look at that. I mean, it's expiring tomorrow as well. And that's a call. What's the price of Bitcoin right now? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, not too bad. There you go. We can kind of just focus on the US dollars for right now. Look, they even got a little RFQ right here. Look at that. Wow. That's amazing. You got all sorts of different little various option spreads or option trades if you want to do something hedged or yeah. Let's see what this one is. Yep. This is very cool. So great feature. I'm sure some people have been using that, using Paradigm. But for some people that want to code, it's kind of great to basically what I just showed you guys. This one's just a bit messier because it's kind of going live in my terminal, but I can kind of just see the stuff nice and organized. Different color coding as I want, provide some things. Like for example, this will put it to you in a different format. It's gotta take a second, it's coming. It is coming, it's loading. Well, normally it's loading. There we go. So this one I have organized a bit differently. So kind of like when we were looking at something very confusing. What? even this, like, Paradox just has it just looks cleaner. It's a little easier to navigate. It's nice and clean. You can look at the chart. So basically, if you were buying puts, which essentially is going short, right? If you're buying puts, you've done really, really well. So, I mean, I don't know, you could have been buying through the weekend, basically, or probably early Saturday. But even something like this, like, yeah, I mean, they just went up. You had very high price action just from this morning. And now we're below. So this is a strike at 78,000, the option to sell at 78,000. So you can just kind of see where we are. But I mean, yeah, just excellent price action right there. And then anyways, I just wanted to filter stuff down to see like higher open interest. So I can see where there's more concentration of current like people that are positioned, right? I want to know where more buyers and sellers. I want to know which expiration dates there are. I just want to trade something that's a bit more liquid so I can focus on, something like this. This right here is going out to December. Some people like to buy, future or, far out expirations. Some people like to buy 0 DTE same day, or they buy options that expire within the week. Options will cost more the farther out into the future. So that's always something to keep in mind as well. Sorry, I'm just trying to find this next date. I should have ETH somewhere in here as well. So many. There's some ETH. Yep. So yeah. Just a great little tool. Just an excellent little tool. I think I've showed you guys this one before too as well. Here's just some of my files. Very helpful. Again, some people are very visual. I'm not as visual. this is more just to help make sure the code is running correctly. It's more help sure I have stable data feeds. And then, when I need to log as needed, or when, I want to actually consider what there is to trade or engage with, then we can do that here. So yeah, right now we're just looking at all of the Paradex options, some of the top ones as well. And then we can kind of even see the spreads between the bid and the ask. So yeah, I just think, I keep saying this, but and while this is a fairly developed market, the next frontier of trading, I think, all comes back to options. It's why Paradigm has killed it. It's why Paradex has killed it. And when I say kill it, I mean in the best way possible. They've just been doing a stellar job, because there's not that many venues, if any, that actually have a real options market. And when you're trading that, you have a mix of actual, it's called synthetic hedging. So for people that, sometimes they want to go long on one exchange, long on a perp dex, and short on another, right? Or they'll be on a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange, something of the sort. You can do this with a mix of calls and puts. You can say buy the perp, and then you could also buy a put. You can also sell options. You can be the call seller. You can be, the put seller. So that's where you get extremely, you can get very creative. You can find inefficiencies in the market and then kind of plan from there, and pick something. Today it might be a great day where I'm like, I want to buy something that's kind of out of the money, right? I think we were just looking back here. See that price? I mean, that's very, sorry guys. Just want to zoom in as much as possible. This price right here, there's a little bit of a gap, to be honest, but I might not want to spend that on an options contract. So I might say, hey, I'm going to buy something out of the money. I think the price is going to go up this week. Instead of spending $400, I think the price of Bitcoin's going up. I might want to spend something that's around $60 to $76, something like that. And it's who wouldn't want that? Literally, who wouldn't want that? To me, that sounds like a pretty good deal. That sounds like a pretty good deal. And there's some good size here available, So, yeah. And out of the money can print. When you buy out of the money options, it means out of the money because it's not in profit yet, right? This is a strike price of 77,500. The price of Bitcoin's about 76,500. So why spend the money on something much more expensive, when I can go buy something else? Well, we'll go look at it over here on Paradex. Same thing, right? 76,000, yeah. And the mark price of this is about $400, $430, right? Do I want to buy something that's, $430? Or do I want to look at something? I think I was just looking at the 77,500. Well, I mean, the mark price of that's about 90, and the price is moving very quickly. So yeah, so sometimes it's just cheaper to buy something, and this price is beaten down. I mean, look at this option. Look at this. It's expiring tomorrow. Look at the contract. Look, it's way down. It's way down. Don't want to risk $100 and be right by tomorrow? Yeah, I might take those odds. Obviously, if I say, let's go to the end of the month, right? Things can be a little bit more expensive. So I might buy something that's further out of the money still. You can see just how incredibly, these premiums, you have more time to be correct. So that's the other thing with options to consider is you have time value decay. So as you approach expiration, this insurance policy basically needs to be renewed, right? Your insurance policy is not a perpetual insurance policy. It's not a perpetual swap. It will eventually expire, or typically it renews on a quarterly, yearly type basis, right? Depends on the insurance. But that's the easiest way for me to kind of communicate what an option is. But this is an insurance policy that I basically need to be right, hopefully before the end of the month. Whereas here, I kind of need to be right by tomorrow. And even these other ones that are kind of up, they still did a decent a decent job. So let's look at something like this. I was just talking about buying something, that was like $400 already in the money, but I might want to buy something like this that's out of the money. It's still going to cost me about $500, a little bit of a spread, but I've got time. I've got 4 days. I've got 4 days to wait versus 1 day. So it's just something to consider. It's a great thing to consider. There's a lot of things, to trade. I know, again, I had that request on those stocks. So I just wanted to point that out, there's plenty of venues. There's plenty of venues to trade everything, right? And again, to save, what's going on here? Yeah, to save yourself the headache or the research, sometimes it's just better to buy a basket. Sometimes they say, hey, if you're not a trader, but you see yourself as more of an investor, like go buy the S&P 500, right? This one's just showing the futures, but it doesn't matter. Like go buy the S&P 500, have a big basket of stocks. That's what the S&P 500 is. Go buy the NASDAQ, right? Pick what you want. But if you're really into the AI bottleneck right now, like buy DRAM, right? Buy EUV. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options everywhere. There's literally plenty of options. So not to be confused with actual options, no pun intended. We got that. What else we got for new listings? What's the big gainers for today? And what do we got for AI? So I think that about covers everything, really. As always, part of this code has been published. So if somebody wants access to that, again, all you got to do is reach out to me. If you hit me up on Twitter, my handle is Cissora, Cissora. I would like to buy the CISSOR. That profile hasn't been active in 15 years. So I don't know how that's going to work, but if somebody could source me that person, that would be great. But yeah, a lot of this code is for free. This isn't an algorithm. This is just your data layer. This is the first thing that's required. So when you're trying to consider what to trade or what to look at, or, when you go from data layer, logic layer, here's my math logic, here's my trading logic, my risk system, and then you go to trade execution, right? So you can do stuff that is a bit more creative in the sense of maybe you're not trying to take a directional position, right? Maybe you want to be like the institutional guys that Paradigm helps out. So then when they go to make a trade, where was that thing over here? They want to do a butterfly or a straddle. Straddles are quite easy, or strangle as well, right? So there's all sorts of things that you can do to hedge, because sometimes it's easier to not be perfect with your timing, but be directionally, have some sort of sense of what is going to happen in terms of, especially a volatile instrument like Bitcoin, right? One of the worst things that has happened to me, Max Payne trade, is when you're right, but your time is off. And either the trade got you out, you got stopped, whatever, right? You couldn't hold it anymore. You decided to rotate, whatever, right? It's sometimes it's just your timing's off, but technically you were right. And that's why people basically hedge with options, or same thing. You own some perps, or you own some spot Bitcoin, or you own some spot something. And then you're you know what? It would be wonderful if I could just have an insurance policy. You've heard of covered calls. I'm going to own some Bitcoin, but I don't know how long it's going to take till Bitcoin goes up higher. I'm going to sell some calls in the meantime. I'm going to sell some Bitcoin calls. I get to collect the premium. So when you buy stuff, when you buy an option, if you buy a call or you buy a put, you're going to spend that money. When you sell an option, when you sell a call or you sell a put, you technically collect the cost. You bring in that money as income. So you're essentially the insurance issuer, right? You are selling insurance. And that can be a great hedging mechanism for when you don't know the timing of how things might work out. So yeah, I'd say dive in. Paradigm's a great resource. Follow their Twitter. Paradex is a great resource. Follow their Twitter. Go here, check everything out. And otherwise than that, let's just see how the day goes, right? I mean, even Bitcoin's had a bounce. Yeah, we got NASDAQ getting a little bit of a bounce. Like this is just normal. This is just normal. So like I hope this bounces. Oh, I hope this bounces for Bitcoin. But if not, you know, that's just how the game goes. So, alrighty, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Next week, 1 p.m. EST. Yeah. All right. Have a good day. Bye. Not sure if the stream's still going, but we'll find out, I guess, right? See if it changes. Look at this wonky thing. Look at that, right at the top, value area high. I don't want to just abandon the stream, but I am done. You're good to wrap it up. You're good to close it off. It looks like we're still going though. Let's see, just this local trend. Okay. This was crazy. Yeah. Huh. Well, how's Tau? I've shorted Tau a bunch. Talked about that before. I mean, this might be a decent area if you're still bullish on them to start buying. You know, up, down, right? Yep, right on a point of control daily, nearly. VWAP and point of control. Maybe it'll do what it did over here for quite a few weeks. What was this, like 2 weeks? No, I guess it was 2.5, 3. Might tread, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, I'm hopping off, disconnecting my camera. Whoever's in charge of the stream, I'll talk to everyone later. Bye.